if I'm working backwards and I'm given the roots of a quadratic equation or a cubic equation, doesn't matter, I'll just be expecting a certain amount of roots. If it's a cubic, I'll be expecting 3. If it's quadratic, I'll be expecting 2. You know, that's what a normal quadratic, now if they say equation, looks like. If they're looking for a specific function, now maybe we'll give them letters, because ax squared plus bx plus c, that might be your function. They're just looking for you to find an equation or a function with the following roots. There's loads of ways to do it. Let's work with this one. So we'll change our, sorry, stop. We'll change our roots into factors. So if we have a root, we absolutely have a factor. So that's x minus 2 is my factor and x plus 1 is a factor. If we think back to how we solve these using, like how you solve a quadratic, then the next step is to just multiply this out. And here we have this, clean it up. Here we have an equation that came from these roots. Now if it was a function, maybe they've drawn a particular function, I'll have to find that exact function, but here is an equation that is formed from those roots. Some people actually start to notice a pattern. I think that this is so fast, there's no need for the pattern, but you might notice the coefficient of the x is actually to do with the sum of the roots, and this is to do with the product of the roots. So it's x squared minus the sum of the roots times the x, and then plus the product of the roots. Now you may never notice that, and you may never need it. It's just something that you might actually notice. So I'm going to show you another one, so I can show you exactly what I mean. I'll explain it with this one first. So if you add the roots there, 2 and a minus 1 gives you 1. And if you do the product of the roots, I would have gotten it that way as well. Now to me, this is just as fast. This requires maybe some learning off or some noticing. I normally don't really use this, but it is very fast. You know, it is very handy. So if we said the roots were x equals 3 and x equals minus 5, well, if we do it this way, it's x squared minus the sum of the roots. So what happens when you sum those up? You get a minus 2 times x plus the product, which is minus 15. I'm just going to clean that up with the signs there. So it's x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. That's if I did it by noticing this little thing here. I don't really do, as I said, I don't do it that way. I normally will just work backwards. So if x equals 3 is a root, then x minus 3 is a factor. And if x equals 5 is a root, then x plus 5 is a factor. Multiply that out, and I end up with x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15 equals 0. So that's x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. So it wouldn't matter which way you did it, you'd end up with the same answer. I just prefer this way because I understand this way. I do use this way when I want to go fast inside an exam, if I'm trying to, you know, save myself some time or something like that. But to be honest, one was really as fast as the other. I'm going to do you know, I'm actually not going to do a cubic one. I'm just going to show you it'd be the exact same thing, except you'd have 3 roots. You turn your 3 roots into factors. And you would just carefully multiply that out, and that's an equation that is formed from those roots. So I'm going to look at, you know, if your roots are maybe surds. Now, if you understand what I've been doing up here, just this basic stuff here, then if you're having issue with, you know, maybe a question like this, find the equation with the roots. Try not to let the fact that you have roots or surds there throw you off. Just try and think, right, if I'm looking for an equation, well, what did I do before? Give yourself a basic one. Show yourself what you did. Follow that method. So what did I do? I brought everything to the left. Plus root 3 equals 0. These are my roots. But if I have roots, I automatically have factors. It might look strange, but that's just because you might not be used to dealing with surds. How do I work this out? I just multiply out. Now, if you are unsure about how to multiply and add, sorry, my dog there is just giving out to me. If you are unsure as to how to multiply out surds and work with surds and add surds, it's probably because you haven't done maybe your indices chapter yet, or it's been a while since you've looked at surds. But if you want to have a look at surds, I have a video on it, and you just search for it. It's called Basic Information on Surds. So any type of roots, how do you deal with them? So I'm just going to go through this question as I was doing. And I'll just leave it up to you to have a look at that surd video, and you can always ask questions if you have any. So start multiplying out. X by x, x squared. X by a minus 2, minus 2x. X by a plus root 3, plus root 3x. A minus 2 by an x, minus 2x. A minus 2 by a minus 2 is a plus 4. And that by that, minus by plus is a minus. 2 by root 3 is 2 root 3. And then the last little bit here, we have a minus root 3 by an x, gives me minus root 3x. We have a minus root 3 by a minus 2, gives me minus by minus plus 2 root 3. Okay. And here we have a minus root 3 by a plus root 3, so minus by plus is minus. Now what happens, again, you can throw this into the calculator. What happens when you have a root 3 multiplied by a root 3? Well, if you're not sure, as I said, throw it into the calculator, or go and have a look at that question to do with, or that video to do with surds, just basic information on it. But what I know is that's the same as root 3 to be squared. So if you write down something twice and multiply it, you end up squaring it. And if you have a square and a square root just on top of each other, they cancel each other out. And think about it. What's, you know, root 3 by root 3? It's root 9. What's root 9? It's 3. So, I mean, it makes sense that I get the answer 3. But if you're not sure, go and have a look and check it out. So now we can start probably crossing a bit off. We have a minus 2 root 3 and a plus 2 root 3. We have a minus root 3x and a plus root 3x. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, how would I know if I was right or wrong? You could have used the minus b formula maybe, or factorize it if you can, and see, do you end up with these factors or these roots? Had you done it by the fast way, so minus the sum of the roots times x plus the product of the roots equals 0. Sorry, my dogs are just running around playing. And so if we add up our roots, we've 2 and 2, 4. And we have a plus root 3 and a minus root 3, which is just 4. You know, it's 0. Plus the product of the roots. So we have 2 by 2, 4. So 2 by 2 is 4. 2 by minus root 3 is minus 2 root 3. 2 by that is plus 2 root 3. And a minus root 3 by a plus root 3 is a minus root 3 squared, which is a minus 3. They cancel each other off. And I end up with x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Again, do not use this method if you're in any bit confused by it, because it's just a fast rule. It's only for maybe someone who's doing, you know, looking for to save themselves time inside an exam. Otherwise, just take it that you have a factor, you have roots. Anytime you have a root, you automatically have a factor, and then you can multiply your factors out and get your quadratic.